My name is Emma, and 6 months ago, I made a decision that would change my life forever. But let me back up, because you need to understand why I did what I did. I was working 2 jobs, waitressing at a diner during the day and cleaning offices at night, just to keep my little sister Lily in treatment. She was only 16 when she was diagnosed with leukemia, and our parents had died in a car accident 3 years before that. I was all she had. The medical bills were drowning me. Even with insurance, the experimental treatment her doctors recommended cost $200,000. I had exactly $847 in my savings account. That's when I saw the ad, Surrogate Mothers Needed. Compensation up to $50,000. I called the number the same day. The agency was located in a pristine building downtown, all marble floors and soft music. A woman named Patricia interviewed me in an office that smelled like vanilla and money. "You're healthy, young, and you have the right profile," she said, sliding papers across her desk. "We have a client who's been waiting for the perfect match. She's willing to pay $80,000, significantly above our usual rate." $80,000. It wasn't enough for all of Lily's treatment, but it was a start. It was hope. "What's the catch?" I asked. Patricia smiled. "No catch. The client values discretion. You'll sign an NDA, of course. The process will be done through IVF at our partner clinic. You'll never meet the parents if you prefer." I signed the papers that same afternoon. I told myself it was just 9 months. 9 months to save my sister's life. The IVF clinic was just as immaculate as the agency. Dr. Reynolds, a kind woman in her 50s, walked me through everything. The hormone shots, the embryo transfer, the prenatal schedule. The biological mother provided the egg, she explained. And the father provided the sample. "You're simply the carrier." Simple. But the embryo transfer was successful on the first try. 2 weeks later, I was officially pregnant. Patricia transferred the first installment, $20,000, into my account. I paid for 3 months of Lily's treatment and cried in the hospital bathroom from sheer relief. For the first trimester, everything went according to plan. I took my vitamins, went to my appointments, and avoided anything that could harm the baby. Patricia checked in weekly, always professional, always distant. But in my 4th month, something changed. Patricia called me, her voice tight with stress. "Emma, we need to meet. Today." I met Patricia at a coffee shop far from the agency. She looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, her usual polish completely gone. "The mother," she said quietly, stirring her untouched coffee. "She died 3 weeks ago. Car accident." My hand instinctively went to my stomach. "Oh my God. Does the father know about the pregnancy?" Patricia's face went white. "That's the problem, Emma. There was no father. Not officially." I stared at her. "What are you talking about? Someone provided. The clinic made a mistake." Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "A catastrophic mistake. They used the wrong sample. The man whose genetic material was used, he never consented. He doesn't even know the clinic had his sample." The coffee shop seemed to tilt. "How is that possible?" He'd gone to the clinic 2 years ago with his then-fiancée for fertility testing. They kept his sample on file. And somehow, some way, it got mixed up with our client's case. Patricia grabbed my hand. "Emma, this man, he's not someone we can just explain this to. His name is Dante Russo." The name meant nothing to me. "So we tell him." It was a mistake, but Dante Russo runs the Russo crime family. He's one of the most dangerous men on the East Coast. The baby kicked for the first time right then. A flutter against my ribs, like a butterfly. I was carrying the child of a mafia boss, and he had no idea. I wanted to run. I wanted to disappear. But I was 4 months pregnant and had a sister in a hospital bed. "What do we do?" I whispered. "We have 2 options," Patricia said. "We tell him the truth and face whatever comes. Or..." She paused. "We don't tell him. You have the baby, we place it for adoption like originally planned, and Dante Russo never knows his child exists." "That's insane. He has a right to know." "Does he?" Patricia's eyes were hard. "Emma, this man has killed people. He's under investigation for racketeering, murder, extortion. What kind of life would a child have with him? I went home that night and stared at the ceiling. The baby kept kicking, like it was trying to tell me something. I thought about my parents, about the values they'd raised me with. I thought about Lily, fighting for her life because she'd been given a chance to fight. I called Patricia the next morning. We tell him. Patricia arranged the meeting at a restaurant Dante owned. It was closed to the public, just us and several men in dark suits stationed around the room. Dante Russo walked in, and I understood immediately why people feared him. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair graying at the temples and eyes that could cut through steel. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my car, and he moved with the confidence of a man who'd never heard the word no. "This better be important," he said, his voice deep and accented. "I don't appreciate mysterious meetings." Patricia looked at me. This was my part. "Mr. Russo," I started, my voice shaking. "My name is Emma, and I'm pregnant with your child." The silence was deafening. Dante's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop 20 degrees. "Explain," he said, the single word a command. I told him everything. The surrogacy, the mistake, the dead client. He listened without interrupting, his face carved from stone. When I finished, he stood up and walked to the window. The men in suits tensed, but he waved them off. "How far along?" he finally asked. "For months." "And you expect me to believe this? That you're not some woman trying to trap me with a fake pregnancy?" "I have all the medical records. The clinic's documents. Everything." I pulled out the folder Patricia had prepared. "I'm not asking you for anything, Mr. Russo. I just thought you had a right to know." He turned to look at me, really look at me for the first time. His eyes traveled to my small bump, visible under my dress. "Patricia," he said, not taking his eyes off me. "Leave us." Once we were alone, except for the ever-present guards, Dante sat down across from me. "You said you're not asking for anything, but you agreed to be a surrogate. That means you needed money." It wasn't a question. I hesitated, then nodded. "My sister. She has leukemia. The treatment is expensive." "How expensive?" $200,000. "I've managed to cover some of it, but..." I trailed off. Dante pulled out his phone and made a call. He spoke in rapid Italian, then hung up. "It's done. The hospital will receive a payment tomorrow for the full amount, plus whatever additional treatment your sister needs." I couldn't breathe. "What? Why would you? That's my child you're carrying." His voice was matter-of-fact. "You think I'd let the mother of my child struggle? You think I'd let my child's aunt die when I could prevent it?" Tears burned my eyes. "Mr. Russo, I don't know what to say. Call me Dante. And there are conditions." He leaned forward. "You'll move into my home. I have a secure estate with medical facilities. You'll have the best prenatal care available. Security around the clock. I can't just move into your house. I have a life, a job. You had 2 jobs that were running you into the ground. Consider this a job. You're carrying my heir. That makes you the most important person in my organization right now." I moved into Dante's estate the following week. It was like stepping into a different world, one of marble staircases, priceless art, and staff that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. I had an entire wing to myself. My suite was bigger than my old apartment, with a bathroom that had heated floors and a closet that Patricia would have killed for. But it was still a gilded cage. Dante was gone most days, handling business. I tried not to think about what that meant. A woman named Rosa, warm and maternal, became my constant companion. She'd been Dante's childhood nanny and was thrilled about the baby. "Mr. Dante, he never thought he'd have children," she told me one afternoon as we sat in the garden. After his fiancée died, he closed that part of himself off. "She died." Rosa nodded sadly. "Cancer. 3 years ago. That's why he'd gone to the clinic. They were trying to have a baby before the treatment made it impossible. But she died before they could." My hand went to my stomach. This baby wasn't just an accident. It was Dante's last connection to a woman he'd loved and lost. As my pregnancy progressed, Dante started coming home earlier. He'd appear at dinner, asking how I felt, if the baby had kicked. He was awkward at first, like he didn't know how to do this. One evening in my 6th month, he found me in the library, crying over a photo album. "What's wrong?" His voice was gentler than I'd ever heard it. "I found this in the drawer." "I'm sorry, I wasn't snooping, I held up the album. Photos of Dante with a beautiful dark-haired woman, both of them smiling. "That's Sophia," he said quietly, sitting beside me. "My fiancée." Rosa told me. "Donnie, I'm so sorry. This baby, it must be so complicated for you." He was quiet for a long moment. When Patricia first told me, I was angry. Furious. Someone had used my legacy without permission. But then I met you. He looked at me. "You could have stayed quiet, collected your money and disappeared. But you told me the truth, even knowing what I am." "You're a father," I said softly. "That's what you are." His hand hovered near my belly, uncertain. "May I?" I nodded, and he placed his palm against my stomach. The baby kicked immediately, hard, and Dante's face transformed. For just a moment, the dangerous mafia boss disappeared, and there was just a man feeling his child move for the first time. "Strong," he murmured. "Like his mother." "Or her mother," I corrected with a smile. Not everyone in Dante's world was happy about the pregnancy. I was in my 7th month when Rosa burst into my room one morning, her face panicked. "You need to come with me. Now." She rushed me through hidden corridors I didn't know existed, down to a basement panic room. Dante was already there, on the phone, his face murderous. "What's happening?" I asked. "Rivals," he said shortly. "They found out about you. About the baby." "How?" "Someone in my organization talked." His jaw clenched. "Don't worry. You're safe here." But I wasn't worried about me. Lily. She's at the hospital alone. Already done. I have men bringing her here. For hours later, after the danger had passed, Lily arrived, confused and scared. I held her while Dante's doctor checked her over. "Emma, what is going on?" she whispered. "Who are these people?" I looked at Dante, who stood in the doorway. He nodded slightly. "Lily," I said. "There's a lot I need to tell you." I told Lily everything that night. She listened, her eyes getting wider and wider, her hand gripping mine. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "So you're having a baby with a mafia boss," she finally said. "I'm having his baby. That's different." "Emma, are you insane? This is dangerous. You need to leave." "I can't." The words came out before I could stop them. And not just because of the security or the baby. Lily studied my face. "Oh my God. You have feelings for him." I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. Over the past months, Dante had become more than the father of my child. He made me laugh with his dry humor. He listened when I talked about my parents, my fears, my dreams. He'd held my hair back when morning sickness struck at midnight. And when he looked at me, really looked at me, I felt seen in a way I never had before. "It doesn't matter," I said. "This arrangement ends when the baby comes. I'll move out and—" "Has he said that?" "He doesn't have to. This was a business arrangement." But Lily shook her head. I've seen how he looks at you. That's not business." That night, I couldn't sleep. I found Dante in his study, staring at the fire. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. I sat down across from him. "Dante, what happens after the baby comes?" He was quiet, swirling the whiskey in his glass. "What do you want to happen?" "I asked you first." He set down his glass and leaned forward. "Emma, you came into my life because of a mistake. A clinical error that should never have happened. But if I could go back and change it—" He paused. "I wouldn't." My heart hammered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that somewhere between you telling me the truth and feeling my child kick for the first time, I fell in love with you." He stood, crossing to kneel in front of my chair. "You're brave and kind and stubborn. You fight for the people you love. And when I think about my child growing up, I don't just want to be a father. I want to be a family. With you." Tears streamed down my face. "Your world is dangerous. I know. And I'll spend every day keeping you and our baby safe. But Emma, I'm asking you to choose this. Choose us. Not because you're carrying my child, but because you want to. I cupped his face in my hands. I do want it. I love you too. He kissed me then, soft and reverent, like I was something precious. At 38 weeks, my water broke at 3 in the morning. Dante was beside me instantly, barking orders while helping me to the car. His private doctor met us at the hospital. The entire floor had been cleared and secured. Labor was long and brutal. 18 hours of pain that blurred together. But Dante never left my side, letting me crush his hand, murmuring encouragement in Italian. You're doing so well, amore mio. So strong. Finally, at 11:47 p.m., our daughter was born. She was perfect. Dark hair like her father, my nose, and lungs that announced her arrival to the entire hospital. The nurse placed her in my arms, and I looked at Dante. He was crying, unashamed tears streaming down his face as he touched our daughter's tiny hand. She's beautiful, he whispered. Like her mother. What should we name her? I asked. He was quiet for a moment. Sophia, for my first love. And Emma, for the woman who gave me a future. Sophia Emma Russo, I said, testing it out. The baby's eyes fluttered open, dark like her father's. Hello, little one. We're your parents. The first month was chaos. Sophia was a terrible sleeper, and despite having staff, Dante and I insisted on handling most of her care ourselves. I'd find him at 3 a.m., walking the halls with Sophia against his chest, singing Italian lullabies. He changed diapers without complaint and panicked more than I did when she sneezed. This is not how I imagined a mafia boss dealing with fatherhood, I told him one morning as he expertly swaddled Sophia. This isn't a mafia baby, he said firmly. This is my daughter. She'll have a choice about this life. Lily recovered fully from her leukemia and moved into the estate. She became Sophia's favorite aunt, spoiling her relentlessly and documenting every milestone. But the outside world still had questions. 6 months after Sophia was born, Dante proposed. Not with some grand gesture, but during a 2 a.m. feeding when we were both exhausted and covered in spit-up. Marry me, he said, completely serious. I laughed, thinking he was delirious from sleep deprivation. Right now. Tomorrow. Next week. Whenever you're ready. But Emma, I want the world to know you're mine. That Sophia has parents who are committed to each other and to her. Donda Russo, are you proposing to me while our daughter is cluster feeding? Yes. Is it working? I kissed him over Sophia's head. Yes. The wedding was small, just family and Dante's closest associates. I wore a simple ivory dress, and Lily held Sophia during the ceremony. When Dante said his vows, he spoke in both English and Italian, promising to love and protect both me and our daughter for the rest of his life. You saved me, he said, his voice rough with emotion. When I thought my chance at family was gone, you gave me everything. Of course, people wanted to know the story. The press caught wind of Dante Russo's wife and baby, and speculation ran wild. Finally, Dante made a statement. Not the full truth. Some things were too complicated, but a version of it. My wife Emma was a surrogate for a couple who tragically passed away. During the pregnancy, we met, and I fell in love with both her and the child she was carrying. We decided to raise the baby together, and it became so much more. It wasn't entirely a lie. Just selective with details. Some people bought it. Others whispered about scandal and impropriety. But Dante didn't care, and eventually, neither did I. The clinic that made the mistake closed its doors quietly. Dr. Reynolds retired early, and Patricia disappeared from the surrogacy world. Dante could have destroyed them. Part of me expected him to. But one night he told me his decision. I could ruin them. Sue them into oblivion, maybe worse. But that mistake gave me you and Sophia. How can I be angry about that? So you're just letting it go? I'm ensuring they can never make that mistake again. But Emma, some things that seem like disasters are actually the best things that could happen to us. I thought about that a lot. How one clinical error had led to everything. My sister's recovery, falling in love, Sophia. Maybe he was right. Sophia's first birthday party was chaos in the best way. Lily helped me plan it, and Dante's estate was transformed into a garden wonderland. Sophia, wearing a ridiculous frilly dress, smashed her cake with delight while Dante took approximately 1,000 photos. His hardened associates cooed over her, and I realized this dangerous man had become completely soft for his daughter. "She has you wrapped around her finger," I told him. "Completely," he agreed, wiping frosting off Sophia's face. "Just like her mother." That night, after the guests left and Sophia was asleep, Dante and I sat on the balcony overlooking the grounds. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "This life." I thought about my old apartment, my 2 jobs, the constant worry. Then I looked at the baby monitor showing Sophia sleeping peacefully, thought about Lily healthy and in college, remembered the feeling of Dante's arms around me. "Not for a second," I said honestly. "Do you?" "Never." He pulled me closer. "Though I do wonder what Sophia will think when she's older. When she learns how she came to be. We'll tell her the truth. That sometimes the universe makes mistakes that turn out to be exactly right." When Sophia was 18 months old, the peace was shattered. I was in the garden with her when I heard shouting. Dante's men surrounded us immediately, rushing us inside. Dante met us in the safe room, his face grim. "Marco Vitali is back," he said. Marco was a rival who'd been lying low. "He's demanding a meeting." "What does he want?" "To discuss territory. He's been consolidating power while I've been." He looked at Sophia. "Distracted." "Don't say it like that. She's not a distraction." "I know. But Emma, this is what I was afraid of. My enemies see vulnerability. Then remind them why they feared you in the first place." I touched his face. "But you come home to us. Promise me." He kissed me deeply. "Always." The meeting happened on neutral ground. I spent those hours pacing, Sophia in my arms, praying. When Dante returned, he was unharmed but shaken. "Marco wanted to send a message," he said quietly. "He knows about you and Sophia. He wanted me to know that he could reach you if he wanted." My blood ran cold. "What did you do?" I reminded him what happens to people who threaten my family. His voice was steel. "He won't be a problem anymore." I didn't ask for details. I didn't want to know. That night, Dante came to me with a proposition. "I've been thinking," he said, "about this life. About what it means for Sophia to grow up as a Russo." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe it's time to step back. Not abandon the family, but transition. Let my cousin take over day-to-day operations. Focus on the legitimate businesses." I stared at him. "You do that?" "Emma, when I hold Sophia, when I'm with you, that's who I want to be. Not the man people fear. Just a husband. A father." "Dante, this is your legacy. You and Sophia are my legacy now." He took my hands. "I want to watch her grow up. Take her to her first day of school. Teach her to drive someday. And I want to grow old with you without worrying that every goodbye might be our last." I threw my arms around him, crying. Yes, let's do that." Sophia is 6 now, starting first grade. She has Dante's determination and my stubborn streak, a dangerous combination. We moved out of the estate to a home in the suburbs, still secure, but normal enough that Sophia can ride her bike in the driveway. Lily lives nearby with her fiancé, and they visit every Sunday for dinner. Dante did step back from the family business, though he still consults. Mostly though he's just dad. He coaches Sophia's soccer team, makes pancakes on Saturday mornings, and builds elaborate blanket forts. Last night, as we tucked Sophia in, she asked the question we'd been waiting for. "Mommy, why don't I look like you?" I exchanged a glance with Dante. We'd agreed to tell her the truth when she was old enough to understand. "Because you grew in my belly, but you started from someone else's egg," I said gently. "A woman who wanted a baby very much but got sick. Your daddy and I met because of you, and we fell in love." Sophia processed this. "So I'm special?" "The most special," Dante said, kissing her forehead. "Can I have a brother or sister?" We laughed. We'd been trying for a year now, and I was 3 months pregnant with a baby that was biologically both of ours. Actually, I said, you're going to be a big sister. Sophia's squeal could probably be heard in the next county. Later, as Dante and I lay in bed, his hand on my growing belly, I thought about the journey that brought us here. The desperate decision, the clinical mistake, the dangerous world I'd entered. No regrets. Dante murmured, like he could read my thoughts. I looked at the photos on our nightstand. Sophia on her first birthday. Our wedding day. Lily's college graduation. Our family. Not one, I said. You. He pulled me closer. I'd do it all again. Every moment, every risk, every choice. Because it led me to you. Outside, the world kept turning. But here, in this room, in this life we'd built from an impossible beginning, everything was exactly as it should be. Sophia was asleep down the hall. Lily was happy and healthy. A new baby was on the way. And Dante, the mafia boss who'd become a father, who'd chosen love over power, was holding me like I was the most precious thing in his world. Because sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the greatest blessings. And sometimes